Indigo Flight Crisis 2025 explained. DGCA rules. Pilot shortage and India's worst airline disruptions. The Indigo Flight Crisis of 2025 quickly became one of India's biggest aviation disruptions. It started soon after November 1st, when the DGCA introduced stricter duty time rules to prevent pilot fatigue. These rules limited the number of hours pilots could fly and increased mandatory rest, especially for night operations. Indigo, which operates the largest number of flights in India, was hit the hardest because it relied heavily on late-night schedules and a lean staffing model. When the new rules took effect, the airline suddenly didn't have enough pilots to run its full network. This led to massive delays and cancellations almost immediately. The new DGCA rules also introduced several important changes. Weekly rest increased from 36 to 48 hours. Daily flying limits were tightened. Night landings were significantly reduced, and pilots were required to rest for almost twice the duration of their duty. These changes were made for safety, but they sharply reduced Indigo's available pilot hours. As pilot availability dropped, the cancellations grew rapidly. What started as a few delays quickly turned into hundreds of flights being cancelled every day. Major airports like Delhi, Mumbai, Bengaluru, and Hyderabad were overwhelmed with stranded passengers. Social media filled with videos of long lines, frustrated travelers, and passengers demanding answers. The situation escalated to the point where the government had to step in. Airfares were capped to prevent sudden price hikes. A high-level inquiry was launched to understand the planning failures at Indigo. The DGCA also demanded an explanation for why the airline could not adjust to rules that were announced well in advance. To stabilize the situation, the government temporarily relaxed some of the new FDTL rules specifically for Indigo. This relief is valid until February 10, 2026, and was intended to help the airline restore normal operations. However, pilot unions strongly opposed the exemption, calling it unsafe and warning that fatigue risks could increase again. In the following weeks, Indigo worked on recovery. It revised pilot schedules, began hiring more crew, and reduced some late-night flights. The cancellations slowly decreased, but the crisis revealed deep problems in the airline's planning and staffing strategy. The Indigo crisis serves as a major lesson for the aviation industry. Safety regulations are essential, but airlines must plan ahead and maintain adequate staffing to handle sudden regulatory changes. Indigo's dependence on lean operations made its system fragile, and one shift in rules was enough to trigger nationwide chaos. This was the full story behind the Indigo Flight Crisis, a combination of new safety norms, planning failures, and an operational breakdown that affected millions of passengers across India.